Biden makes a series of verbal gaffes at NATO summit. Okay, this is from July 12th. U.S. President Biden has a series of verbal slip-ups on Thursday alongside NATO summit in Washington. Verbal gaffes are not unusual in the long political career of Biden, who once said that he didn't want his children going to school with black kids on camera, which was fantastic. That was 1992. Look it up. Who overcame a childhood stutter, but there was closer attention on him amid the fallout of his dismal debate performance against Republican candidate Trump. Mm-hmm. So Biden mistakenly calls Zelensky Putin. I actually saw that one. Now I want to hand it over to the president of the Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. Lol. Biden mistakenly refers to Harris as Trump. Look, I would have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president if she was not qualified to be president, so start there. Biden fumbles chiefs of staff. And so our military is working on following the advice of my commander-in-chief, my blue screen of death here. The chiefs of staff of the military as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people. I mean, this guy just goes on and on and on. He constantly freezes up. He's been seen falling upstairs more than once.
Yes, he's out of his goddamn mind.
What do you think? What do you think his current state is realistically based on?
He's operating at like 27%.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
He's literally one cunt hair above 25%, and after that, you're getting institutionalized.
Yeah,
he's literally hanging by 2 pregnant nipples above the drop-off point to go to a retirement home.
I was unaware of the measure of 2 pregnant nipples. I do not know what this is.
Well, basically, each one's a quarter inch, so it's about a half an inch. Or it could be, 4 labia flaps.
You sit around and measure these things, or what's going on here?
Listen, I used to do that all the time. They'd be like, we've been doing height and weight, so you're 11 penises and 1 scrotum tall. They're like, what?
What's wrong with this guy?
How tall is that?
What just happened?
I wrote that on a height and weight form once, and I got yelled at. But
yeah,
it was. They framed it for a while on the wall. It was hilarious.
It's good that you went to MI because MI has a higher tolerance than regular Army for
high level thinkers
shenanigans like that.
What do you want from me, man?
We were doing a weigh-in once, and a lot of our guys were from LURS or LLVI units, and one of the guys had this neck that was basically a tree trunk and a 30-inch waist, and he was 5'10", so he's clearly going to pass tape. And the first sergeant goes to tape his neck because he's overweight by 20 pounds. And everybody's laughing because the guy benches 400. Mm-hmm. And the first sergeant puts the tape around his neck, goes, "Your neck's bigger around than my dick anyway." And writes it down and says it. We're like, well, yeah, there's that.
yeah, the whole height and weight thing, the tape test.
We'll go down a rabbit hole really fast with that one. Holy cow. Anyway, Biden just makes gaffe after gaffe, and it looks more and more like his wife, Jill, is getting her old job back because for you who don't know, he was married before and then dumped that wife to marry the babysitter.
Babysitter, yeah.
Yeah, which is Jill. And now Jill is going, I thought I left this job.
Yeah, well, she's going right back to it.
Yeah.
She's going to be the butt wiper.
That's going to be great fun. Fortunately for her, he does get the presidential package when he retires, and we'll probably have staff to do that for her, and she'll just have to be there while he sits on the sofa and watches Rockford Files for the rest of his life.
Well, here's another thing. They might actually, I hate to say this, and this isn't coming from me, this is just the evil pop thinking, is using him as a sacrificing him.
I've got this one.
Tragically this evening, President Biden was found at the bottom of the staircase in his Vancouver home. Apparently broke his neck during the fall. Ladies and gentlemen, the president is dead.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that?
Something
Probably not Vancouver, though. I think it's Vermont.
Well, whatever. whatever.
But yeah, the
Or-
general gist of the
Or they'll basically pull one of their whack jobs to take care of it, and then he'll be the patsy to make it look like the right did it to him.
a little payback, you're saying.
Yes.
That is an opportunity, isn't it?
It's a payback glowy operation.
Yeah. A glowback.
Glowback, yeah.
It's a glowback.
And
That, I could see that. I could see them doing that.
this
By
is-
the way, the most recent shooter, Routh, his son was just arrested today for having child porn
Oh, nice.
on his computer. And I've never seen somebody who looked so much like they have child porn on their computer in my life.
wow.
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
So back over to the gaffes of Biden, but yeah, the glowback operation. I could see that happening.
I mean, listen, I do not believe the polls, number one.
Come on, no.
Yeah, listen, I haven't believed the polls in 2022, 2020, 2016. I think the polls pretty much went off the rails about 20 years ago.
I would agree.
And I just cannot fathom Harris being equal to Trump, even though she wasn't voted in there at all. She was totally installed. The Democrats didn't go through their system that
Election.
they used. They just totally quashed it.
Yeah.
And then they have the balls to look across the aisle and say, you guys are threatening democracy. Are we serious here?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the installation of Kamala Harris. I want to use bad words. I'm not going to go for the YouTube strike, though.
No, it's not.
She was so obviously installed, and if you rewind the clock to 2020's primaries, there was a whole slew of Democratic primaries. Everybody from Bernie Sanders to Pete Buttibutt and a whole bunch of others. And Kamala Harris, she got zero. She got 0 votes, as I recall. I could be wrong.
1%. She got 1%.
Was it 1%?
1%.
Yeah. Which is 0.
And then she got ripped apart by that Democrat woman during the debates who just ripped her apart on her what she did in California, which is
When she was the Attorney General in California, or the Chief Prosecutor for LA, I think.
keeping people in jail longer so she can exploit them for slave labor to put fires
She had
out.
deals going with the prisons.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some horse shit right there.
Yeah. And that was it. What's killing me now is so many black voters out there are like, oh, Kamala. Do a little homework on this girl.
Well, number
She
one,
put black kids in prison for profit. You might want to look into that.
and also she's Indian. She
Yes.
is not from Africa.
And her grandfather owned a huge slave plantation in, I think it was Jamaica.
Correct. You are correct.
Yep. So now that we've gone down that little rabbit hole there, the 6 gaffes that show why Biden had to quit. Biden didn't quit. Biden was politely told, sit down and watch Rockford Files.
All right, now hang on. This is what I envision that happened with the dictator-in-chief. They approached him and they said, your son is going to be sacrificed to the Department of Justice
Hunter, yes.
if you don't play ball. So they're trying to time everything so Hunter gets convicted and everything, so when Biden leaves, he can pardon his son on the way out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
Either that, or if he leaves peaceably, Harris pardons Hunter as one of her first acts.
Yes.
There will be a deal there somewhere. I think you're right. That makes
There's
a
all
lot
kinds of deals going on.
sense.
Now, if Trump wins, and I hope he does, he could just say, okay, all right, Hunter, I got it. You're good to go. He pardoned you. But what about that kiddie porn on your computer? Boom.
Interesting. I wonder if they'll find a way to make that a double jeopardy somehow, though.
They could try. But
Well, the courts don't care anymore about the law. We
Yeah, I know.
saw that earlier.
But the thing is he hasn't been charged for any of that stuff, so it's fresh. If they recharge him with that, it's not like he faced it before. He has not. I don't believe.
he hasn't faced those charges
I
yet?
don't believe he's faced any Orrin Pay, kiddie porn, any of that stuff.
He's got from the little clips that have leaked out over the years, there's easily 20 or 30 felonies against this guy.
Yeah, and minimum, he's 5 to 8 years. Minimum.
I'd say there's probably a few more years than that there.
Yeah. If I was running the show, he'd go to Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a level 2 or 3 prison.
Yeah.
And then they could handle it.
Yeah, with a shoestring as a belt.
I don't know. I'm just saying that people who get convicted of such things are usually not looked upon favorably in those environments.
No. I up by where I live, there's a young lady who works at a store where I go buy a 6-pack from time to time, whose fella bashed her around pretty good, and he ended up in prison, and they found out that he was beating a tiny little 5'0" girl, and he was, broken in.
Ah, I got it. Yeah.
And she got to laugh at him for ending up in the infirmary with mobility issues.
Yep, these things happen.
Yeah. Might want to think about it. Anyway, Mr. Biden appeared to briefly fall asleep during opening remarks and at his first COP26 climate change summit as the U.S. president. During the event in Glasgow, Scotland, where I don't know what they're worried about the climate there. The climate is always rainy, damp, and drunk. Mr. Biden was seen closing his eyes for around 20 seconds during disability rights activist Eddie Ndopu's speech. I'd probably fall asleep for that, too, to be completely honest. He was then approached by an aide. The footage went viral and was picked up by both left and right-wing outlets as to whether Mr. Biden had fallen. Of course he fell asleep. Those things are... I'm yawning just thinking about sitting through climate change and crybabies.
Yeah, I can't do it.
God, that must be boring as hell to pretend that you were interested in that stuff.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either.
No. I could just see if I was running the show, I'd get invited to shit like that. I'd be like, nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Send somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Send an ambassador. Don't we have an ambassador for that?
Yeah, that's what they're for, right?
That's what ambassadors are for. That is actually exactly what they're for. The moment didn't help Mr. Biden's image. The Democrat leader, who was 78 at the time, had been dubbed Sleepy Joe by his political rival, Donald Trump. So, where's Jackie? September 2022. I am not aware of this one. In one of his most alarming gaffes, Mr. Biden called out for Congressman Jackie Walorski at the White House conference a month after she had been, killed in a car crash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
So we had somebody get killed in a car crash?
Yeah. Weeks earlier, the president had put out a statement saying he was shocked and saddened by her sudden death at age 58 and offered his deepest condolences to her family. But at the White House conference on tackling hunger, he called out, "Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie?" Appearing confused at her absence, Biden added under his breath, "I think she was going to be here."
Jackie dead.
In the earpiece.
Mr. President, she's dead. Mr. President, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Mr. President, she's dead. Stop.
The Republican representative from Indiana and 2 of her staff members also died in the crash, which was widely publicized in the U.S.
How fucking fast are they going? What the fuck?
Well, there have been some mysterious plane and car crashes over the last 20 years.
Yeah, actually, I'd go back more than that.
No, I'm sure, but I mean...
General Patton, come on.
No, come on.
Come on.
Come on. That was just coincidence.
No.
General Patton died like that.
What about that one guy?
What was he covering up? Let's not.
Not go on the
YouTube will
rabbit hole.
definitely strike us if we go there.
Yeah. And then we had that one guy who jumped out of a window. That the guy who went down to the South Pole and supposedly fought alien Nazis and went into the center of the Earth and everything. I don't know the guy's name.
Okay, that's just Looney Tunes shit, though.
Okay,
that's just Looney Tunes.
I'm just saying.
A guy I have known a long time, a buddy of mine named Mike. He served at I think it's McLaren, our station down in Antarctica. Mm-hmm. For like 3 years.
Admiral Byrd was his name.
Byrd. Okay. Yeah. I'll buy he saw weird shit.
Yeah.
But center of the earth, space alien.
I'm just saying that.
I feel that's...
He filled out 2 or 3 journals of this craziness, and he was invited out a window.
I've never heard of this before. I'm curious now.
Well, you have to look.
Stop the show. Screw all this stuff. Let's talk about Admiral Byrd and space aliens at the center of the Earth.
That's another show. We could do that one just for fun.
Okay. Halloween's coming up.
Yes.
Let's do an off-the-wall weird shit show. We're looking
off-the-wall weird shit show.
We need weird items for the Halloween show. Give us weird items.
The weirder, the better. They got to be at least plausible, though. It's got to be like something reasonably that you could go, that didn't happen. You might have.
The weird
could have
shit.
happened. Never happened. Could have.
We call it the weird shit show.
Okay, the weird shit show. You're on. We have our Halloween. Halloween show planned.
I like it.
That's good. The embarrassing Gaffe went viral and renewed questions over whether Mr. Biden, who was 79 at the time, maintained the mental capacity to be president. They're setting this up.
Yeah, they are.
They were setting this up 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Well, when
he first went into office.
No, they started it before he got in office because Trump was actually harping on this.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, no, they smoothed it over. And then after they installed the dictator in chief, they brought it up as a insurance policy.
Now, hear me out. 2016, President Trump gets elected by accident because nobody saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the next president. She is quoted as having said, "It was my turn, damn it." So here is my theory based on what we're seeing. Biden was installed with Harris as his vice president intentionally because Hillary is no longer palatable to the American public. Everybody knows she's a crazed bitch. Even the leftists know that Hillary Clinton's a whack job and will probably have you Arkansided if you say the wrong things.
Arkansided. Okay, I got to write that down.
I've been saying Arkansided for a long time. Anyway, so they needed that female who could be controlled in there, and in comes Kamala Harris, who conveniently will do just about anything, including wear presidential knee pads.
Yes.
So now she's about to be installed where Hillary was supposed to be installed so they can continue with whatever the hell it was that they were doing, which we'll be getting to in a little bit.
Yes.
Mr. Biden later met with the Walorski family to privately apologize, with the conversation lasting about 30 minutes, the New York Post reported. He did apologize for the "Where's Jackie" comment, and our family assured him we have no hard feelings, forgiving him for his gaffe. The late Congresswoman's brother, Keith Walorski, said, "I'm yawning because one of my sinuses has collapsed on me, and I'm not getting the oxygen intake I ought to."
I gotcha.
After his shambolic debate performance on 27 June...
Shambolic.
Shambolic, that's a good word.
What does that mean? I've never heard that before. Shambles?
Shambling, kind of just tragic and worn out and all jacked up.
Never heard of shambolic. All right, cool.
Totally jacked up. Fall at military graduation 2023. Mr. Biden tripped and fell over on stage while handing out diplomas at a military graduation ceremony while at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado. Biden shook hands with the final graduate and appeared to look for how to get off the stage. He then stumbled and fell forward, putting his hands out to stop himself, and ended up on the floor. Mr. Biden then sat on his side, appeared to struggle to get up. He was helped to his feet by 3 men, including a Secret Service agent. Where were they as he fell? Those guys are supposed to be instantly on the president if anything looks off.
I don't know.
That's a legitimate question.
Listen, we all know that the entire government has been infiltrated by diversity hires.
Yes.
So, I mean, incompetence and mediocre is the rule now.
I expected incompetent losers to be on Trump's detail.
Yes.
Because they hate him. But I figured they would want to prop up their little sock puppet a little better than that. I mean, it took the Secret Service guys a minute to get there. The president was already on the floor and then sat himself up before they came over.
And what about that one female? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
At the Trump one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm like, what do you mean, what are we doing?
Mr. Biden's aides said he was fine, and the smiling president later told reporters, "I got sandbagged." The fall was the latest in a string of stumbles for Mr. Biden, who was 80 at the time. Trump, who was on stage at a campaign event when he found out said he's at the Air Force Academy. Well, I hope he wasn't hurt. The clip was hoovered up by the Trump campaign machine, which had repeatedly put out ads attacking Mr. Biden for his age with the footage. Well, who wouldn't? He's the opposition, and he just collapsed on stage at a ceremony, basically.
I would use that as ammo.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a campaign.
Yeah.
Macron or Mitterrand, the former French president from a long time ago. February 2024, Mr. Biden has long been known to mix up names, but at a Las Vegas campaign event in February, he appeared to bring a French president back from the dead. He was telling an anecdote about Emmanuel Macron's reaction to a G7 meeting in 2020 when Mr. Biden said, "America is back." The president went on to make the point that the U.S. would be more forceful on foreign policy under his guidance, but he mistook Macron for Mitterrand, the president between 81 and 85, who died in 1996. And Mitterrand got the country wrong even. And Mitterrand from Germany, France, looked at me and said, "You know what? Why? How long you back for?" Mr. Biden said.
Nice.
Oh, the White House later published remarks with the name Mitterrand crossed out and replaced with Macron.
All right. So this is the guy that supposedly has the nuclear football.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in.
Yes.
All right. Now, I want to know who made the decision and under what authority are these soldiers being sent to Israel? Because what pot of money are they taking funds out of? I would like to see a set of their orders and look at the funding codes. Uh-huh. Yeah, I got you.
I have nothing. Basically, our troops are being used by a foreign nation to defend their borders.
Correct.
And there's no bones about it this time. There isn't a Hitler has taken over Europe and the Americans are on their way.
Yep.
This is just straight up Israel has hijacked the 101st Airborne, probably quite a few Green Berets. Wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a Marine battalion or three.
Yeah, I would say a minimum 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
what's a strike force? What's a Marine strike force for a fleet?
It all depends.
Send fleets there.
Usually, it all depends. I'm not in the Navy, but usually
it's a brigade element for us.
That would be 3 to 5 battalions. 3 to 6 battalions of Marines.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of Marines to keep on float.
They eat a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. They eat a lot.
That's a lot of dudes.
Mostly all they did on the boats was eat and PT.
Yep. And clean weapons.
Yeah.
And sometimes shoot their weapons.
Yes. Off the rails.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Woe to the Marine whose weapon fell off the boat.
Didn't see that happen. Did not see that. I saw a Marine being yelled at the position of attention once or twice, but I never knew what for. We just left them alone.
It does happen from time to time.
And
it is brutal.
Yeah. Everybody was under orders to leave us alone, which was very nice, actually.
Well, yeah. Typically, if you're an Army dude on a Navy boat, they don't know how to handle you.
Yeah.
They have like an SOP for Marines. Mm-hmm. They have an SOP for other sailors.
Yes.
Even sailors from other ships.
Right.
But Army dogs show up to like.
They didn't have any spaces for us either. We got like a storage area.
Yeah, that's common.
Where we netted off a bunch of bailing and then put up hammocks and.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Usually it's a hammock thing.
Yeah. It looked like a spider nest. It looked like the scene from The Hobbit where all the dwarves were like. It's messed up. But the food on the Navy ships is that good. All of the cooks are apparently Filipinos because there is rice with every meal.
Nice. Yeah.
So there you have it. So at the NATO conference in 2024, Mr. Biden's campaign kept to keep his place at the top of the ticket, stressed that he was holding the big boy press conference at the NATO summit in Washington on July 12th. He made a terrible start when just hours before he was due to address journalists, he introduced Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky on stage by the name of his arch nemesis, Vladimir Putin. Now I want to hand over the stage to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Oh, my Lord.
That's just
wonderful.
It's Zelensky. Mr. Biden returned to the microphone and attempted to explain the area. He says, "I'm so focused on beating Putin," he said.
Oh, my God. This is just savage.
Yeah, 90 minutes later, the Harris-Trump gaffe. When asked whether Harris was qualified to take over his job, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president. I think she was not qualified to be president.
Oh,
Woo. I think this was deliberate from the word go. The more I look at it, and the more you see this timeline here, now that we got it right in front of us.
Here's the thing about when you start having dementia, and because my grandmother had this.
Mine as well, on my dad's side, my grandmother.
They're usually very truthful in what they say. Because the little spinning tops in the background that allow you to lie and remember lies, it doesn't happen. So for him to say that he doesn't think she's qualified for the job, I believe him.
Yeah.
And it is well known in the Secret Service that he hates her guts. And he only picked her because he had to for a balanced ticket.
There are a lot of rumors coming out now from her own staff in the Secret Service that everybody hates her.
Yeah, well, first of all,
She's not likable.
90% of her staff quit. They can't stand working with her.
Really?
Yes. I've heard that on 3 different radio stations over the past 2 or 3 years. All right, now remember when Biden was like, "Yeah, we've set up the most elaborate election stealing scheme." He literally admitted it.
Yes. Yeah, I recall that.
And I totally believe him
recall
because he's degrading mentally, and those spinning tops in the background that you have to maintain when you lie, because you always have to refer to the little lies and the big lies so you can keep them going.
It's like you have a little staff in the back of your head.
You got to keep spinning the
lies
tops. You got to keep spinning the tops to keep the lies going.
Right.
And as your mind goes, you forget, and you're like, you just tell it how it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what I got now.
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time. I will not spin tops. I just don't have the mental acuity for it anymore.
My wife will tell you that it's the same thing with me. She's like, "You're a terrible liar." I'm like, "I know."
I'm not a good liar.
I'm not good at it.
I don't want to waste the effort and the time to remember all of the goddamn lies. I just don't care anymore. But that's just me. But I mean, that's just my take on it.
This guy's supposed to be in charge of the free world as
Correct.
we know it, though. So that kind of ups the game from retired guy who lives in Detroit to ruler of the free world, leader of the free world, whatever they're doing these days. In the days that followed, the president did indeed appear at more rallies and gave more interviews, but almost every single one produced a notable gaffe. In the end, he appears to have understood the slips are undermining his and his party's chance of winning on November 5th.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, this is an amazing shit show. But wait.
There's more.
If you order now, I'm going to straight up do this and see if we can hear it. We should be able to hear it, right?
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
He's lost.
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
He totally forgot.
Yeah. He completely shanked that.
All right. So when you start, well, hang on. All right. So my grandmother, they literally were like going to put her in a home. And that talk started happening when she started losing touch with reality.
Yeah.
Didn't remember where she was. Didn't remember what year it was. Didn't remember any of her family's names. An hour later, she remembered everything. And, I mean, like I said, he's literally 2 pregnant nipples hovering above getting put in a home.
All you're doing is causing our entire viewership to think about pregnant boobies.
I'm sorry, but, I am a comedian.
I get your point, but
listen, this is a very dire subject because we don't know who has the nuclear football. You got to make jokes or you'll go fucking insane.
That's true.
That is what I do.
That's true. No, I'm with you all the way. I'm just saying the visual is there.
I got
It's out there.
I got you.
It's out there. At least 3 viewers went, boobies.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the MGTOW chat certainly did perk up when they heard
I'm
pregnant
sure. I'm sure. I wonder if we could time the Big Tau chat with the actual dialogue of the show and see if the boobies match up.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny because I know how this works.
Well, 1 minute
And,
ago,
yeah,
MGTOW Ronan, he's on it.
It's already happening in the Rumble chat as well. I looked over and there it is. I'm like,
Look, man,
yeah.
you got to laugh.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the meat caser box.